Hello everybody and welcome to the penultimate episode of this round of Fighter Subscriber. After the last episode, you have sent me in a ton of craft, so thank you very much to everybody who sent one in. I will try to get round to fighting each and every one of them as soon as I possibly can. And to that end, I'm pleased to announce there will be a second season of Fighter Subscriber, with a slightly different format towards the end, but essentially the same thing. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you are too. Anyway, on to today's craft and the final challenger of Season 1. This is the F-15C by EpsilonAsteroid. I'll put a link in the description to Epsilon's Steam Workshop page where you can find this and some other recreations of classic US fighter jets. But today we're focusing on the F-15 and this is a really nice recreation. So for one final time this season, let's go and see how it flies. Now, when the F-15 first came out, it quickly gained a reputation as a powerful beast, and this implementation certainly stays true to that, thanks to its two Whiplash ramjet engines. A slight deviation from historical accuracy, but my god, the power! It's not the most manoeuvrable craft I've seen during this series, possibly due to the lack of engines with significant vectoring capabilities, but just the sheer speed of this thing. It doesn't lose much speed in the turn either. In the age-old question of speed versus manoeuvrability, this comes down very heavily on the side of speed, so it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out in a combat scenario. So, well, let's go and find out. So we start as usual by pitting the F-15 Eagle against a trio of my Cyclones. Let's get them up into the air. The Eagles here slightly slower off the mark. These Whiplash engines, whilst they do generate a ridiculous amount of thrust, they do take a while to spin up and really start pushing that out the back. Now with most craft, I try to make as few changes as is possible. If something's very badly wrong, I'll obviously change that, or if a craft needs arming, I will do that. But I haven't really had to make many changes with this craft. I did have to make a slight adjustment to the positioning of the Sidewinders because they were doing that thing where they'd actually collide with something on the craft and blow half the craft up. But apart from that, yeah, these are... You can see it now, these F-15s getting up to ridiculous speeds already. They're also configured to go quite high, I think. You're welcome to set the AI configuration as you like. I won't touch that when you send a craft, unless you get onto me and say I really messed up here. But anyway, the craft turn to fight. Missiles coming out on the F-15s, who are going very fast and having a little bit of a job turning, but it should mean they're able to dodge those missiles with relative ease, although they do manage to get off a volley of their own. It doesn't look like there's been any early missile kills. These Cyclones seem to have... Oh! Speak too soon, why don't I? Who is that? Froley Kerman. Froley Kerman is now flying a damaged Cyclone. As I've said a few times on this, these things can fly pretty well with quite a lot missing. In fact, if they've got both these like delta wing shaped sections are missing, they can still fly pretty well, but when you've got one of them, it unbalances the aircraft pretty badly. So for the moment, speed seems to have the upper hand. Will we get on to any close-up dogfights before too long, though? Lashel Kerman, or Lashel Kerman, seems to be quite far out of the action here. Froley Kerman managing to get off another missile. I was about to say still contributing to the fight, but not really. And Vermal Kerman. Those F-15s are just miles away. The Cyclones are having a really difficult time getting anywhere near them. This may be a good tactic from the Eagles. Just try and keep the Cyclones at arm's length, and then close once they're close and finish the jobs, because I can't imagine it'll be too much longer before the Cyclones are out of missiles. Although the Cyclones, being the more manoeuvrable craft, may have the upper hand more generally. Bill Kerman. I think this is actually... Yeah, this is a two-man cockpit. Jebediah at the controls. Bill in the navigator seat. It's a two-man team. Will they be able to wreak havoc and destruction upon the Cyclones? Another missile gets fired away. That was one of the Sidewinders, the F-15, or at least Bill and Jebediah's F-15 is out of AMRAAMs. Tamara's F-15 has a Cyclone. Oh, that gunfire is getting very close. Has a Cyclone on his tail. The gunfire rains in. This is where speed versus maneuverability really starts to tell. Well, this is where the maneuverability side of things starts to tell, because if you can't shake a fighter once it's on your tail, that is going to happen. Tamara trying to regain control of his aircraft, manages to do so to some extent, but spins out immediately afterwards. And it is not looking good for the F-15s. Oh, that's a beautiful shot there. As the Cyclone tries to do some more damage, I think with the aircraft as it is, it's not very controllable. I think it is destined for the ground. Here it comes. And there it goes. Here comes another salvo. Ooh, gets a bit of a peppering. Looks like something was lost. Oh, look at the top side of that craft. Missing its tailplane, missing all its control surfaces on the wings. I think Alice Kerman is going to be presenting too much of an easy target to last much longer. Here comes more gunfire. Still with both those engines, still with some degree of control. Oh, lost an air intake as well. I think it's only really a matter of time before Alice Kerman loses something a little bit more serious and it's game over. Over here, a bit more action. Bill and Jebediah's F-15 is getting peppered with gunfire. Not quite as... Oh! About to say, doesn't quite look as bad as the other F-15, but now looks a hell of a lot worse. And that is Bill and Jebediah out of the fight. Yeah, as I said, that is the problem with... Oh! Bravely trying for a recovery there, but doesn't quite work. As I said, that's the problem with choosing speed over maneuverability. Oh, and this... We get there just in time to see this final F-15 shredded. Yeah, as I was saying, the problem with going for speed over maneuverability is that once you get a craft on your tail, it's almost impossible to shake them, and you just have to outrun them. And all three F-15s don't seem to have managed that here. But never mind, 2 fights left to redeem themselves. Let's go on to the second fight right now. So next up, we will be pitting the F-15s against my Clubtails, the most manoeuvrable of my 3 craft, so this is going to make for a very interesting fight. Let's get them going. Both sides turning around, trying to get their first set of missiles away. Tamara Kerman's radar warning receiver lights up to say there is a missile incoming. Will he manage to get away one of his own missiles, or is it just dodging the incoming AMRAAM that's on his mind? Just dodging the incoming AMRAAM, but surely now it's time to fire off one of his own. There we go. That sounded like a lot of explosions, and that is one of the Clubtails. Completely shredded. Millpond Kerman, it is not your day. How are the others getting on? The 2 surviving Clubtails look to fight on. Do you have a missile incoming? Well, that's a bit of a low blow. But never mind, let's go back to where the action is. It is 2 against 1. It was a promising start for the F-15s last time, but they weren't able to follow through on it. Mind you, last time they hadn't quite taken out a craft to that extent, but one of the F-15s over there looks like it's in a spot of bother. Popping chaff. I don't think this is the F-15. Alice Kerman has a Cyclone, sorry, has a Clubtail on his tail. Oh, gets a bit of damage, loses a control surface. More gunfire rains in. Clubtail, one of the Clubtails over there on that F-15. It will be down to that last F-15, wherever it is, to try and even out the damage. But it looks like the F-15s have failed to make that numerical advantage count. Where is that other F-15? One, two. There's the other F-15. Doesn't seem to be doing a lot, and it's 2-on-2 once again. That's concerning. As I said, the Eagles failing to make that numerical advantage pay, and this could become very costly. Although will Bill and Jeb, will they manage to get a quick revenge kill? No, they have to break off their attack as a missile has been locked onto them. Turning as best they can. Where is that missile? Is that it? No, there it is. It manages to dodge it with ease. Can Bill and Jeb now turn around and acquire that Cyclone? As they must surely do, if they have any hope of trying to even this out. How's the other Eagle getting on? Is trying to loose a missile on that Clubtail over there. But it's not looking good for Tamara Kerman. Has a Clubtail firmly attached to his tail. And it's going to find it difficult to shake that. I think their only hope is to do this sort of like ignore this plane on their tail and go after the one that's on their wingman's tail. If they can manage to get a quick kill that way, it might be possible, but as I said... Oh! And that is another one of the Clubtails gone. It's now 2-on-1, and this has just become very interesting. Bill and Jeb's Kerman missing an air intake, but otherwise no huge amount of damage. Has to turn around, see if they can acquire that last remaining Clubtail that is causing their wingman a bit of grief at the moment. Oh no, they're distracted. They're distracted by that last. Distracted by that last little bit of debris from that Clubtail. Shouldn't be distracted for too much longer though. Sonfrey Kerman fires up her guns, just trying to get one last bit of damage onto the F-15. But oh my word, look at this. Tamara Kerman is in trouble. Look at that Clubtail just stick to that F-15 and just completely shred it. It is 1-on-1. That final F-15 does have that Clubtail in its sights though. It's Bill and Jeb. Of course it is Bill and Jeb, but out of missiles, so it is going to have to be a guns kill. The F-15s aren't at too much of an advantage there either, as they've only got the one Vulcan cannon. Oh! And Orson Kerman manages to rake his guns down the side of Bill and Jeb's F-15, taking out that last air intake. Stripping them of all their power, and finally stripping them of all their parts. Oh, it was so close this time. It genuinely was so close, but once again, the F-15 has come up empty-handed. Orson Kerman here trying to add a bit of insult to injury, but the result is decided. The Clubtails are victorious, and it's time to move on to our next fight. So here we go then, this is the last fight, and for one final time I am going to pit a subscriber craft against my Panthers. Let's get it underway. Now the F-15 start to turn. It's a long turn when you're travelling at that speed, but they do just about manage to get around. I'm not sure if they're going to get a volley of missiles off this time around, and The Panthers' volley is incoming. They do manage to get their volley off. Now Tamara Kerman can focus on avoiding that missile. And and his wingmen do likewise. Oh my word, is that yet another early missile kill for the Eagles? Tanhat Kerman, not quite down and out yet, but she's got a lot of work on to try and do anything meaningful with the craft as it currently is. Losing one of the vertical stabilizers will not have helped either. Once again, it's advantage to the F-15 Eagles at this early stage, but we've seen how that's played out in the last two fights. Let's not count our chickens just yet. It's going to be interesting. I think the next kill could decide it. If the F-15s get that kill, I think 3 against 1 is going to prove too much. If the Panthers get it, I think that little bit of extra manoeuvrability is probably going to count in the Panthers' favour. We've got another Panther versus Eagle going on there. Tamara launches another missile. Still that Panther bears down on her, glued to her tail. He goes into a flat spin, loses a control surface. Manages to rescue it as the Panther goes flying past. Does Tamara have the presence of mind to swing round and actually get guns onto that Panther? It'll need to be quick. Taken some damage, but nothing too major. Should be fine to fight as he is. Oh, but now has the attention of another Panther. What are those other Panthers? What are those other F-15s up to? Bill and Jeb narrowly avoiding a missile. Alice Kerman, has taken some damage. Has lost both of his air intakes, and despite no other real damage to speak of, lost one of the tail fins, but apart from that, still in good nick, but just cannot fly without those air intakes that will now glide slowly back down to the earth. It is 2-on-2, and at this stage you have to fear for the F-15s. Will it be the first clean sweep of Fighter Subscriber? Oh, Tamara takes some more damage. Both those inside control surfaces on the wings have been taken out, but those are just flaps essentially. They serve no other function. Tamara should still have the full manoeuvrability of that aircraft. Tamara Kerman, still with a Panther on his tail, has now lost all the control surfaces from his wings and has now lost quite a lot else. And despite a promising early showing, it looks like it's going the way of the previous fight, I'm afraid to say. Bill and Jeb, in the last F-15, have lost a tailplane, have lost all but this one control surface. It's not looking good, is it? It really is not looking good. Braking, nearly getting up to twice the speed of sound there. The Panthers seemingly distracted by Bill and Jeb's fallen comrade, but I don't think their craft has the manoeuvrability left to take advantage of it. Oh, Bill and Jeb are trying their hardest, aren't they? Oh my word, what happened there? It looks like one of the Panthers was forced into the ground for some reason. Or was blown up in the sky. That's bits of a Panther in the middle of the air. I did not see what happened there. For some bizarre, inexplicable reason, it is now 1-on-1. I still don't think it's going to make much of a difference. I would love to know what the hell happened to that Panther. And we are out of fuel, ladies and gentlemen. The F-15 gets into a bit of a flat spin, runs out of fuel, and is simply a sitting duck for the Panther to shred to pieces and then fly through victorious. So victory for the Panthers, and victory for Melster Kerman primarily, who comes in and tries to finish off the last bits of that Eagle. I can only guess that the Panther that did get destroyed was trying to shoot at one of the Eagles on the ground, but got a bit careless and slammed into the deck. But regardless, that is a victory for the Panthers and another loss for the F-15s. I do have to say, I don't think they deserve it. They are a beautifully put together craft, an excellent implementation of the F-15, and as I said, perhaps could have done with some different engines. But yeah, I did enjoy them. They handle beautifully when you're flying them yourself. But today it was not to be, sadly. But don't worry, we'll be seeing more of them before too long, without meaning to give too much away, but that'll have to be for another day. But anyway, another huge thank you to EpsilonAsteroid for those craft. And what? Wait, hang on. Oh my word, the other Panther has crashed into the ground. I think we're still going to have to give it to the Panthers. They were the last craft flying. But as I was saying, big thank you to EpsilonAsteroid. A fine rendition of the F-15C Eagle. Link to his Steam Workshop page in the description. Do check him out. And as always, thanks for watching. Take care. And I'll see you next time.